Each year around this time, we focus a Sunday service on end-of-life planning. And we do this for two reasons. One, because the time of year makes sense. It's around Halloween, Samhain, All Souls and All Saints Days, El Dia de los Muertos. It's a natural time to consider death. But also number two, a very important reason why we choose this time of year is because Thanksgiving comes at the end of this month. And you will probably be spending that day with people that you care about. And our hope is that by thinking about these things now, you will be prepared to talk to those people about your or their end-of-life wishes over some pumpkin pie. I know it's awkward. It's not the most fun table conversation, but who are we kidding? A lot of Thanksgiving conversations are not the most fun. But it's also really a loving conversation to have with your loved ones. I've officiated a lot of memorial services since I became a minister, and part of that process involves traveling alongside grieving spouses, families, and friends. And I promise it goes so much easier when the plans are in place and when those people know what the plans are. That's key. Filling out your paperwork is important, but telling people that you love what the paperwork says is even more important. This is true for end-of-life medical decision-making. It's true for financial and estate planning. It's true for disposition of remains. You don't want people fighting over whether or not you wanted to be cremated or buried. We've done services like this in the past, both on end-of-life medical decision-making and the necessary paperwork surrounding that, and financial and estate planning. And if you look on our YouTube channel, you can find those past services. Last year, our Generosity Ministries team made two wonderful videos, interviewing professionals in our local community. One was with Joe McClear from McClear Law about estate planning, creating your will, answering lots of questions about that process. And the other video was with Luke Denzo from Wickman Funeral Homes about disposition of remains, funeral planning, financial planning for funerals, a lot of questions and answers. I cannot stress enough how wonderful those two videos are, and I really encourage you to go on our YouTube channel and find them. But today, I want to talk about memorial planning. We often think about our will, our advance directives, but we don't think about our memorials. And as your minister, one of the greatest honors that I am given is the chance to officiate the memorials of people in this fellowship and the people that they love. To create a space where people can honor, celebrate, and grieve someone that they love. That is an incredible gift. And I remember when I was here interviewing to be your senior minister, and when you all voted for me to be your senior minister, as we were celebrating, I think we were having incredible Chilwaukee Pops out in the fellowship hall. One of the members of the search committee came up to me and hugged me and said, "You didn't know it, but you were interviewing to do my memorial." And rather than sounding morbid, that sounded just like an incredible honor. That is what she wanted me to do that for her when the time comes, and the time has not yet come. Have any of you in this room never attended a Unitarian Universalist memorial service? It's okay if you have not. If you've never attended a UU memorial service. Yeah, quite a few of you. UU memorials are very personal, very individualized. We include lots about the person who has died, anecdotes, funny stories. We often have photo boards set up or slideshows. We invite people to share in an open mic style stories and memories if that's something that you or your loved ones want. People who have never been to a UU memorial, who've only ever been to maybe a more mainline Christian or Catholic memorial service where it's more about the liturgy and less about the individual, they always come up to me and are like, "Whoa, that was amazing. mean, it's really, it's incredible the response we get, especially from folks who aren't part of this community. In fact, I actually believe it's a wonderful, and I use this word lovingly, it's a wonderful evangelism tool. People who might come into our space only for a memorial service are like, man, that you thing is pretty cool. So the question for you is, how do you want people to celebrate your life? How do you want to be remembered? I have found that memorial services are both a chance to help people find or begin to find closure and healing, a chance to grieve and mourn and feel those sad feelings, but also a chance to consider their own mortality. Sort of like when you go to a wedding, you might turn to your spouse and think, like, oh, yeah, we made this commitment to each other, right? When you go to a memorial service, the same thing happens. Oh, wow, I also am mortal. In the spirit of memento mori, or remembering death, that Mike talked about earlier, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze and just imagine your own memorial service. It might be here in this space or somewhere else. Who is there? Who's attending? Is it your family or friends or people from the fellowship, coworkers? Maybe people who aren't even alive yet, your own children or grandchildren. What sort of decorations are there? Are there lots of flowers or none? Are there photos? Are there mementos placed up here on the altar? Is there music or food? Is there a ritual? Is your urn of ashes up here? What does it look like? Or is there a casket? What does the service feel like? Is it solemn? Or is it high energy? Is it funny? Is it hopeful? So I invite you to open your eyes again, come back to this space. Beginning with the end in mind, as Mike said, means that we live our lives in such a way that some of those memorial visions will come true. People will come to your memorial if you tend to those relationships now. If you live your life in a way that encourages that energy, if you are fun and silly in life, your memorial will likely also be that way. If you love to dance, people will be more willing to dance at your memorial service. There better be dancing at my memorial service. That's all I have to say. If you are a thoughtful, serious person, then your memorial will also probably be thoughtful and solemn. Knowing that one day we will be remembered will help us to live our lives in the way that we want to be remembered. And that need not be a morbid thought. It can be a hopeful and beautiful one. One thing I remind families when I'm helping them plan a memorial service, so as you think about your own memorial service in your mind, remember this: a memorial service is in honor of the person who has died, but it is for the living. So think about who will be there. Do they have needs in their grieving that you need to consider? Do they have a different religious tradition than you? Would it be nice to add something to your memorial plans that would give them what they need, even if it's not specifically something you would love? Maybe a prayer or a scripture. I have a packet of resources, a whole packet, that I can share with you as you think about your own service, with readings, poems, scriptures, scientific pieces, all kinds of things. Think about your favorite hymns. Maybe they're your you hymns or something else from your childhood. Blue Boat Home is a common request. I want the song we just sang, Just As Long As I Have Breath. I want that one at my memorial. I also want How Can I Keep From Singing? I love that one. Maybe other music, pop music, something you love or you know that others will remember you. Mary Rosera wanted the song at the end of her memorial service. She included a CD for us in her plan packet. She wanted The Age of Aquarius. And so we did. And it was right at the end, chalice extinguishing, go in peace, the age of Aquarius. And I was like, we cannot just all be sitting here. It's like awkward. So I said, let's stand. And Mary would want us to dance. And everybody did. And it was beautiful. Do you want a video clip, maybe? When John Riopel passed away, we had a lot of his Star Wars figurines up here. And I found a clip from Star Wars that was about the Force. And sort of the spiritual message there. Maybe something else. The Goddess group recently lost 2 of their beloved members, and at both of those memorial services, they brought the Goddess group's chalice up here, and we lit it alongside the fellowship chalice. When Eve Rosera passed away, because Mary had had a dance party, she wanted one too. So we had a dance party at the end of Eve's memorial too. When Gloria West's husband and Ben West's stepfather, Gary Yuso, passed from life, he had been a cheesemaker and wine connoisseur in life, and so we had a cheese and wine communion. When a woman from my congregation in Maryland passed, she was about 60 years old, and she had just loved children, and she loved the Wonder Box. And so her husband asked if we could have a Wonder Box memorial service for her. And so what we did was everyone who spoke, every single person, it was me, her husband, her daughter, coworkers, person from her hiking group, each person put an object in the Wonder Box, and one by one we took them out, and that person spoke about her life. And I remember that her daughter put a pie server, shaped like that, in the Wonder Box. And she said, my mom always made sure to serve everyone first and would save the crumbly pie for herself. And she just remembered that her mother was so caring and wanted to serve everyone. And every time I see a pie server, I remember Irene because of that physical thing. What photo do you want on the cover of your order of service of yourself? And that photo is also usually the photo shared in the obituary. I know it's hard to think about, but do you really want someone else choosing that photo for you? If you plan to be cremated, let people know that. Let them know what kind of urn you want or where you want to be scattered. Do you want to be scattered here on our beautiful fellowship grounds? We don't bury remains here, but we can scatter them. Or do you want to be scattered somewhere else or buried somewhere? Or do you want to live on someone's mantle? That's up to you. You can let people know that. Or if you plan to be buried, let people know that too. And this is something people never think about. They might think about the choice of casket, but they never think about what they want to wear inside that casket. And you might think, I don't care what photo, I don't care what urn or burial outfit, but think about how hard it is to make that choice for someone else when you are in the middle of grieving. Imagine your own child standing in front of your closet going, I don't know what dress she loved. I don't know what tie was special to him. Save them from that. Just get a little clip, put it on the hanger, this one. You can always change the clip, you can always change your mind. You're saving your loved ones a lot of decision-making heartache by making these choices. And even if you're younger, my age or thereabouts, you can still make these choices. Type it up, put it in a place that people will know where to look, or leave it with us. We have a whole filing cabinet in our office with files of everyone's wishes. So when your loved one calls us and says, my mom passed away, we can look there and say, we have everything here. What a gift to them. You can always change it. Repeat after me. You can always change it. Some people are like, I don't want to do it because I might change my mind. Yes, do it, then change your mind. That's fine. You never know when we might be hit by the proverbial bus. So it's really just an incredible gift to people to have these choices made. One way to record these wishes, if you want to be walked step by step through this process, is to go to our website, fvuuf.org, select Sunday services, and scroll down to rituals and ceremonies where that red arrow is pointing. And then when you click on that, scroll all the way down and click here for the fellowship memorial planning form. It's an easy online form. You do it all right there and you hit submit. If you want to think about these things and begin to get them down on paper with help from your fellowship ministers and friends, I invite you to come on November 15th. It will be in the scroll and in future orders of service. November 15th at 5:30 p.m., Hannah and I will be hosting a fun event called Let's Taco About Your Memorial Service. And we will have memorial planning and tacos. What more could you want? Let's taco about your memorial service. So that we can plan to have enough tacos, literally we're actually having tacos, please sign up in the sign up spot or send me or Cindy an email. This month, as we consider our shift to November to the theme of being ready for a change, that's what we're focusing on this month. And I just want to give a shout out to the beautiful artists who made this November wall hanging. Margaret Alexander, Nan Middleton, Dawn Shaw, and Becky Buchter made this beautiful butterfly-themed hanging, and it reminds me, my best friend in college, her name was Jennifer, she had muscular dystrophy, and she knew she wasn't going to live as long as other people, and she loved butterflies, the symbolism of butterflies, because she believed that when she died, she would be free from her body. That had been a real challenge for her in her life. She died when she was about 25 years old, and we all wore butterflies to her memorial. So every time I see a butterfly, I remember Jen. And I remember that powerful and lasting change that will come for all of us at some point, hopefully a long time from now. As we consider being ready for a change and being ready for the lasting and most powerful change of them all, let's consider how we want to be remembered. And as I close this morning, I share these words by the poet Mary Oliver at Blackwater Woods. It's been a tradition here for decades to share this poem in its entirety or in part. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light. They're giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this. The fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends upon it, and when the time comes, to let it go. To let it go. Amen. And may it be so.